Department of Ag, and we are just so excited that there are so many people in this room that have come together and want to talk about local foods and farmers market and agritourism and all of that. And I'm going to let the professionals speak about what their vision is for us in the future here. Our first speaker is our brand new Secretary of Agriculture, also Commissioner of Agriculture, Blayne Arthur, if she will come on up here. She started just a few weeks ago, actually. We're so excited to have her. She is aware of the importance of what you guys do every day, and I'm not going to take a whole lot more of her thunder. So we're going to do it really quick.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the great introduction, Mayor Ruth. Thank you all for being here this morning. We have a wonderful Oklahoma weather day, as you all are probably used to. I joke with folks that most people don't live in Oklahoma because of the weather, and as farmers and ranchers, we certainly understand that probably better than anyone. So, wonderful turnout here this morning for the Farmers Market Conference. My first order of business is I know this is a wonderful partnership that we have with both the Department of Ag and ONI and several other partners as well, but I've got lots of Department of Ag staff here, and I don't know that Mayor Ruth introduced herself in that fashion, but Mayor Ruth is our new director of our Market Development Division, so we're very excited to have her in that capacity. And then I know I see Tandy Kidd and Abby Paw, and I know Emily, we can give them a round after we introduce them. Emily's there in the back, and Ashley Bender and Jamie Cummings there in the back. Morgan Vance, who is new to our staff in the communications and PIO function. Any other ODAF folks that I missed? They're the ones that really make everything happen at our office. They're extremely passionate about the work that they do. The wonderful thing about our Market Development Division is each of them kind of have a niche. But when they have an event like this, they all collaborate to make sure that it happens. And that's how wonderful partnerships work. And I know I see NRCS folks this morning and Extension folks. Great to see some of my friends from Extension here. Met several of the ONI staff too. So partnerships are how we make everything work at the department. I think Farmers Market, what I'm really excited about the opportunities with Farmers Market and agritourism is, I was just in DC for a couple of days meeting with other commissioners and ag secretaries, and I think there is no time, maybe even in history, where people cared more about where their food comes from. And I think that's something that we can all certainly capitalize on. I think a lot about mothers like me. I have two small kids that we care about the nutrition of our children, how that food is being produced, where it's being produced, and what a better opportunity than to go to a farmer's market and talk to somebody that maybe picked that corn that morning, or an agritourism venue where you get to see their hoop house or their fields where they do a pumpkin patch, those kind of things. People want to meet our producers. And the producers love the opportunity to talk to our consumers. This is not something that's new to you all, but we have a disconnect between our consumers and our ag producers. And both our farmers markets and our agritourism venues give us a chance to provide that education. And in Oklahoma, we have a wonderful Ag in the Classroom program where we have coordinators that are out in the schools and providing that ag education. But our farmers markets and agritourism venues can do a great job of that as well because you're talking to the people on a weekly basis and conversely helping them understand some of the challenges that we face in agriculture. It's not easy to be an ag. Back to the weather, we can have this great plan and then Mother Nature can kind of take that away from us pretty quickly, and that's part of it. But that's something that a lot of consumers don't totally understand. Some consumers feel like their food just magically shows up at the grocery store. That it's created in some warehouse somewhere, and then a truck goes and picks it up, and then it shows up at your grocery store. And that's certainly not the case. And I would say that's nationwide, that we have a need to really educate people about where their food comes from, and such an opportunity for us to find unique and different ways to do that, to engage different audiences than we have historically, and also to bring some diversity to our operations in rural communities. Agritourism and farmers markets, if you're traditionally a cow-calf producer and you add maybe an agritourism venue, or you start participating on a small basis in a farmers market, that adds some diversity to your operation, which is important. Not putting all of your eggs in one basket, I guess, is a fitting analogy for this group. But it's bringing more dollars to the farm gate, which is very important. One thing that I'm very passionate about is rural development and rural economic development. And I think both of these areas give us a chance to really help people stay in rural areas. There's a lot of other work that we need to do. Conversely, nutrition across the state, but also in rural areas of the state, is something that we have a lot of work to do on. Another great way that Extension can be a partner in that, and I know Omi's working on some of that as well. So again, it's all of these partnerships, getting the right education to people, getting the right information out, collaborating together, working together. I'm very proud to be working for Governor Stitt. He wants us to be top 10 in everything that we do, which I think is certainly achievable things. But the only way that we get there is through partnerships. We can't all operate in our own silo to work towards some of those goals, and I think we see a wonderful example of that. I don't know when agritourism first started, which has been long before I ever came to the department, I don't know that they would have ever anticipated that on a February 28th freezing morning that we would have an overflowing room full of folks who are excited about agritourism and about farmers market and what we can do to feed people and educate people. And that's not been that long since the program got started. So I know there's that enthusiasm. I know we can engage our folks in our urban areas. See old friends here in the center who know CSA as well, and that's something that we use a lot of in Oklahoma. So tremendous opportunity for us. Very proud of the staff that we have in market development at the department. I know they are going to be a wonderful resource for you all. I want you to know that I want to do everything that I can to help promote agriculture here in the state of Oklahoma, to move us forward as producers, to find those collaborations and those partnerships that can help us be successful, that can help rural Oklahoma to thrive. I know that we can do that. There's a lot of things that we have to make happen to see that success. But I think there's kind of a new enthusiasm here in the States. I've only had the chance to be in this position since January 14th, but I see enthusiasm everywhere. If it's out when I'm talking to people, if it's at the state capitol, people are excited to make Oklahoma better in so many ways. This specifically is important to me too, because youth and young producers is another area of focus for me. The last time I checked, our farmers were not getting any younger. Average age of most of our producers is about 58. So we need to be engaging in encouraging a younger audience to come to ag, and I think this is a perfect way to do it. And that younger audience brings some new technologies and some new approaches that I will tell you that some of our farmers would probably not be as amenable to some of those new things, but that new audience, that younger audience that wants to come back to agriculture or start up an operation in a unique way, they have enthusiasm for that, and we've got to find a way to integrate them into our production system. The department is actually starting a youth advisory council. We sent information out on that this week, which will be seniors in high school, so seniors this fall through the spring, that we're going to bring to the department to expose them to what we do, jobs in agriculture, but also use them as a tool for us. We can always assume what young people think about things, but do we always sit down and talk to them about what they think about things? Why they're making the purchasing decisions that they are? How do we get them to go back to rural Oklahoma? What's important to them? Do we need rural broadband there? Does that mean that you'll go home and maybe take on part of your family's operation, but then spouse maybe has some type of internet-based business that allows you to be back in a rural area? So that Youth Advisory Council is going to be a great tool for us for a variety of ways. Communication is the best way that we talk to folks about what they want to have happen. Generations are changing. I'm too old for that millennial generation. I know we hear a lot about them, but they're making a lot of the buying decisions and purchasing decisions, and they're doing that in a different way. I heard some really interesting information when I was in DC, that for that millennial generation, they want to make 80% of their grocery purchases on their phone, which is different. Do you know what I mean? As you progress through the generations, that's going to go down a bit, but then how do we find ways to get them out to our operations and see that they really want to have, they don't want it just to show up, they want to talk to people, they want to see what it is, but we've got to talk to them to see what that looks like and kind of how we can navigate that a little bit. But technology can certainly be our friend, and I think we want to utilize it and implement it as much as we can. So I'm very excited that all of you have taken the time to be here. Please know that I'm a resource for you at the Department of Agriculture, and all of the staff here that we have today and in our Market Development Division certainly are a resource for you. We want you to be successful, and we want to be a part of helping you to be successful. With that, though, I will turn to the comments that you really want to hear from my good friend who has taken the time to be here with us this morning, and probably a very familiar face to many of you all, and something that I'm certainly excited about is to have a Lieutenant Governor and also Cabinet Secretary who's the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Branding. So we're certainly having conversations with him about the Maine Oklahoma program and agritourism program. But I can also assure you, no one who is a better champion for the state of Oklahoma than my good friend, Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell, who I will welcome to the stage.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate it. Another round of applause for your new secretary. First female secretary in state history. That is kind of a big deal. I'm all in on Blayne Arthur, and I'm all in on agritourism. And I want you to know that. I want to share with you just a few comments, not an hour PowerPoint presentation, I promise you. But I want to talk to you a little bit this morning, just tell you a little bit about myself. Those of you all that don't know me, I grew up in the Tulsa area, traveled all 77 counties over the last 17, 18 years, both in politics. This is the first elected position that I've been in, but I've been all across the state and during my political career helping candidates get elected office, and then went on nationally and helped across all 50 states as well. I love this state. We chose to raise our family here. We've got 4 kiddos in the Jinx Public School System, and are choosing to raise our family here so that, again, hopefully they can find a job here and raise their own families here. And I know you all want that for your kids and grandkids as well. And to do that, we have to diversify our economy. I want oil and gas, 365, 24/7, but the oil and gas industry would love a more diversified economy too. Because if we're not more diversified, we're going to continue to do this. Down at the state capitol, when oil prices are good, things are great down at the capitol. When they're not so great, we're not diversified enough to take the highs and lows out of the system. And so that's got to change. And I looked at a couple years ago this lieutenant governor position for a couple reasons, and one of them was tourism. You look at any lieutenant governor around the country, most of their portfolio is in the tourism area. The Louisiana lieutenant governor is a good example, one that I use often. His entire job is to promote the state of Louisiana and their tourism industry. And you know what? It's $1 billion industry in the state of Louisiana because of it. Because you have an elected official that knows what their job is. They don't start following a shiny object over here, something that's outside the constitutional bounds of what they can actually affect, right? They actually focus on their job and don't get off doing things that they have no authority to do. And unfortunately, we have politicians that do that a lot, not just in the state, but across the country. I want you to hear from me that over the next 4 years, what you do every day is something that I want to help promote and make a real industry, a bigger industry in the state of Oklahoma. And you're going to see me demonstrate it over the next 4 years working with the Department of Ag, hand-in-glove relationship, because one of the first meetings with Mary Ruth and Secretary Arthur was on agritourism. And I don't know if that meeting has happened in a very long time between the Department of Tourism and the Department of Ag. Well, those days are over because moving forward, we're going to be working together to make sure that what do we need to change? Again, we need this feedback from you. We need to know what we're doing wrong in the state of Oklahoma that's affecting you all growing in your communities. And I know there probably certainly are some things we are not doing right, but we got to know it because we can't affect change now down at the state capitol. So that's certainly a message that I want to deliver to you today. We need to know, we need the feedback so that when I'm at the Capitol and I'm there every day and I'm working with Governor Stitt, you're going to see a completely different relationship between the governor and lieutenant governor. I know it's a novel concept to have the governor and lieutenant governor working together. I know. But that is the way that Governor Stitt and I are working. Both come from a business background. We're both kind of running we both ran for office for a lot of the same reasons, and we're tenacious about private sector job growth and helping diversify our economy. So we need the feedback. And then I want to come out and see you. Part of the Lieutenant Governor's job is to continue to be in your communities across 77 counties. I put 105,000 miles on my truck the last couple of years campaigning for this position. I assure you that I'm going to continue that pace over the next 4 years. One of the reasons that I care so much about tourism is one of the things that I said on the campaign trail and continue to say is that any state has to play to their strengths, right? I mean, if we want to succeed as a state, you got to play to your strengths. And I tell elected officials this, these state reps and state senators that have not properly funded the Department of Tourism for a very long time. We've just sliced and diced it, so we can't promote you all as much as we used to. We got to play to our strengths, and tourism is one of our strengths. It's one of our strongest assets that we have as a state is the assets that we have across 77 counties. And agritourism is one of the fastest growing cottage industries inside the tourism department as a whole, across the country. This is not just in Oklahoma, but we have, again, far more resources than most states do when it comes to agritourism. Why the heck are we not promoting it from a statewide level? I mean, listen, we're not California, thankfully. We're not Florida. We're Oklahoma. And across 77 counties, we have Americana all across 77 counties. People want to turn this thing off for 3 days. Okay, this is why agritourism is hot. One of the reasons. They want to turn this off for 3 days. Get away from it all, right? Everybody from Dallas to Houston to California to New York, they want to find a cute boutique hotel somewhere, Main Street, USA, right, that might have what you all have, some sort of farm, some sort of blueberry farm, some sort of pumpkin patch. I mean, I could go on, and I know you all could too. That's 5 or 10 minutes off of that Main Street, USA. And spend a ton of sales tax dollars. Because as sales tax dependent as we are the most sales tax dependent state in the country. I think too sales tax dependent. But if we're going to continue to be the most sales tax dependent state in the country, then we better be promoting what you do. I mean, we got to do that. I mean, those are some of the easiest dollars that we can go after. You hear top 10 a lot, right? And you're going to hear it a lot from Secretary Arthur, myself, and the governor. I want to be top 10 everywhere. Everywhere. But I can tell you, one of the easier routes to top 10, one of the easier industries is tourism. I firmly believe over the next 4 years we can position Oklahoma to be a top 10 state in tourism. I absolutely believe that, yes.